Good evening, everyone. Coming to you from San Diego to wherever it is you're listening to. This is El Rifado, otherwise known as Cristian Diaz. Welcome to the Mexican Football Podcast. I'm joined, as always, with my wonderful co-host, Albert El Sabio Perez, freelance sports journalist whose work has appeared on the LA Times and Sporting News and many other organizations. How are you, mi Sabio?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's always good to be in the company of the best host in Liga MX content on the internet. Rifado,
Thank you so much.
his name says it all. He's a go-getter.
Thank you so much. Tonight, we're joined by Eduard Cauich, a Los Angeles Times journalist who also teaches journalism at Cal State Northridge in Los Angeles. He spent the last month in the 2026 covering the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but his reporting went well beyond just the matches. So we're going to be highlighting some of the things that he was brave enough to discover and write about. Take it away, Misabio.
Hey, and you know what? I need to mention that Edward's work was featured in English and Spanish. So he was the LA Times main guy in Mexico. He made the front page many times. He's I known him for for a good 20 years. He's a hell of a guy. I known him back in the Chivas US. He was a PR at Chivas USA, and I known him ever since. He's when it comes to journalists, this guy is the cream of the crop.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you, El Rifado, for inviting me. I'm super happy to be here.
Wow, okay, you owe me a couple burritos for that. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, so let's get started. So we're gonna the subject of this episode of the Mexican Football Podcast is we're wrapping up the World Cup, and since you were embedded in Mexico, we thought it was great. It was a great idea to invite you so you could talk to us about your experience. So the first question I'm going to ask you, it's a very important one. ¿Te hicieron volar? Did you go flying? Did the crowd get you and throw you in the air?
No, because I didn't get to be the fan fest. That's where usually those things
happen.
Oh God. Yeah, I didn't hang out a lot with fans like in viewing parties or fan fests. Did you used to do it before in other World Cups, but this time I was under deadline, so I had to be in mixed zones a lot on
you couldn't be having fun. No fun.
Yeah, so this is your fourth World Cup in a row.
Yeah,
is that
this
right,
is the
Edward?
fourth one. I went to Brazil, I went to Qatar, I went to Russia before that, and now this is my fourth one.
All right,
so we're talking to a real veteran.
So I didn't fly. I still want to fly though.
Okay, well, we'll send you flying. Don't worry.
Yeah, maybe Leagues Cup. I'll find somebody or
in the Gold
one
Cup.
Of these games.
You could go flying in the Gold Cup, Cuba versus Mexico.
Yeah, the Combinations League maybe, or maybe a game at LAFC.
Okay.
Yeah, Eduard. If you don't mind, Albert, I'd like to go ahead and segue into it. So I had one quick question, and that's you've covered several World Cups, right? You said 4. What makes this one stand out? What makes this one different?
Well, I think this one is in many ways a different one. Before the tournament, we heard that it was going to be a different one because of the amount of teams, the amount of stadiums, the 3 countries hosting the World Cup, and I think it does make a difference, a huge difference. I didn't think that it was gonna make that big of a difference, but it does. You can only see some games. I in other World Cups I got to be in like around 12, 13 games. This time it was around 6, 7, and it's because the distances are very the cities are very separate. So we have also more teams. The groups are kind of different because like Mexico, you get to see teams that are not that great in this World Cup, groups that are not even, and then there's some groups that are good. So it's I think it's a different World Cup just by itself, by the amount of teams that there's in the tournament, and also that extra round, the one round of 32, that surprised me a lot because I think the quality was good. I was expecting a not a very good round. I thought the third place teams were not gonna be as good, and they weren't that great, but they were competitive, and I think it's a competitive round, and that's where like the Netherlands went out, and that's where Germany went out.
Yep.
So it's gonna be tougher, and it feels like a long tournament also. So yeah, there's many ways that this World Cup was different, and I think it's gonna be different from now on with more teams.
Yeah, they've talked about making it even bigger. But yeah, you were talking about the importance of the third teams, right? And there was some big surprises that came out of this World Cup from the third teams, like Paraguay, who
Hmm.
eliminated Germany.
Yeah,
You know, after their loss to the USA, many people had them, discarded, or they were an afterthought. But they surprised everyone, and they made history by eliminating the four-time world champion Germany.
yeah, and uh, and that's why I'm saying that in the round of 32 in future World Cups, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for teams like Mexico, teams like USA, because you're gonna get paired with teams like Switzerland, with teams like Senegal, with teams like Paraguay, the ones that you're mentioning, with Ecuador. You know, those teams are not easy. Those teams can, they can eliminate you in any given day. Um,
Edward, you
so,
you had
so yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Edward, you had told me that with this expanded field that it's going to become more and more like a tennis tournament where where your bracket is going to be very important.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things that I tell my Mexican friends that are always are asking about the el quinto partido, the fifth game, the sixth game now. It's just I think it's one way to see it, but it's not a complete picture because if you get I don't know, if you get a Switzerland or you get a Senegal in the first two rounds, which can happen because there's a lot of teams and there's a lot of brackets, it doesn't mean that you can get far by being kind of lucky. Like Argentina was kind of lucky in their brackets.
Some people would say that there was a conspiracy to
Yeah,
help
yeah,
Argentina, but
yeah, yeah,
I'm in your camp. I think
yeah.
it had more to do with luck.
Yeah, yeah. It had to be more with luck, and you actually have to win those games. Like
Yeah, because
Colombia, and
Uruguay.
I saw
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Colombia in the semifinals against Argentina, and they couldn't beat Switzerland.
Yeah.
So those. It seems like for teams like Mexico, Colombia, it seems. I mean, for big teams like Argentina, Brazil, those brackets may seem easy, but they're not for teams like Mexico,
Well, and
Colombia.
let's
Those little
remember,
teams.
if Uruguay doesn't crash out, they could have been in that second spot and instead of Cabo
Yeah,
Verde.
yeah, yeah. So you can. I think there's more room right now to have more luck and also to have surprises in a World Cup. So
Mhm.
I think that World Cup of 48 teams is gonna create more tournaments like this, which is it can be exciting. It can be exciting. But what I was saying at the beginning is that if you start judging teams by how many games they play, or if they reach the quinto partido, the sixth game, I think you're kind of blindsided in a way because it's not by the amount of games you play, but the type of teams you play. I think.
Okay.
What's really interesting to me is that it highlights the importance of consistency over these next 4 years. Because if we
Boy.
remain a pot one team, our chances to go further in the tournament and face weaker opposition early goes up. And so right now we're in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings. Can we maintain that? I don't know. I don't know. But that if we were, that would greatly help our chances in the next seeding. And so
Yeah,
that would be my focus if I were Rafa Marquez. So if you're listening, Marquez, take note.
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
I think Mexico had a good World Cup. I think it wasn't great, but it was a good World Cup. They didn't
do,
disappoint people, and I think they 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 had a good World Cup. They made people happy for during 4 nights,
Do you think
and
they
that and
overachieved? Do
what
you
was
think
that?
they overachieved?
Yeah,
Like
I
a lot
think
of people,
so. I think
it
that
was doom and gloom before it.
I
So
think if you follow Mexican soccer, and you see the quality of players we have, um, this is it. This is as far as it goes.
mhm.
It's like you know your car, you know how much mileage you can get out of your car, and that's where it usually stops. In when you face teams like England, you obviously you get carried away by the emotions. Fans get excited. You think that this time it's gonna happen, but
Everybody thought that.
it's like failing the same test all over again. Sometimes you fail it by almost almost passing it, and sometimes you fail it very badly, like 4 years ago. But at the end of the day, you didn't do your homework, and it's not fans who are to blame here. It's not even the players, not even Javier Aguirre. It's the process, like the consistency you were talking about at the very beginning. If you don't have it, how can you demand from players to get to the final of a World Cup if you don't have the players, if you don't have the coach, if you don't have the resources to get there?
Do you think that atmosphere and this win, which was a win, but it wasn't that extra round? Do you think that put a makeup on everything and left everybody feeling like, oh, it was a good World Cup?
I think so. Like I tell people, I think maybe as Mexicans, and I'm talking as a fan, maybe we should just enjoy every victory when we have one at the World Cup, and don't get carried away too much. I think I think if you have more than 1 million people in the Angel the Independencia by beating Czechia, I think it's too much, in my opinion. I think you're getting too excited, and that's the feeling I had. Like I've been to other World Cups. I like we're gonna lose, and everybody's gonna be
But
disappointed
do you think
because
that was a
we're not
result
that
of?
great.
Do you think that?
And
Oh, sorry.
mhm.
But do you
Yeah,
think that was more a result of how bad things were back in 2022? That people were frustrated, and then it didn't look very any good in 2024. And do you also think the social climate in Mexico, it was like the perfect storm for these
yeah,
people to go out?
yeah. I think it's more of that. I think it's more than if you follow Mexican fans, you know that they'll get excited for it. Like as soon as they beat two teams, no matter what teams, they'll get excited. If if they're boycotting the national team, it only takes a win against Costa Rica and El Salvador for them to um, have a sellout at Rose Bowl, no, at the Rose Bowl. But I think when it came to the World Cup, not only that, I think it was the way I saw it, and I'm talking about somebody who lives in the U.S., who's not 100% there in Mexico all the time. I noticed that there was a division in Mexico City, just like we see here, in another level. Here we see it in another level as far as politics. But the way I felt it there when I got there is that if you said that you were excited about the World Cup, you're pro government, you're pro Claudia Sheinbaum, you're pro FIFA, you're one of the bad people. And if you say that you're not excited, then you're against the government. So there was a lot of politics involved, and I can tell you that there's people, journalists, public figures that wanted Mexico to do bad on the field, and also for them to that there's riots, that there's things going on, but that involve politics. So when I got there, that's the feeling I got, and I think that's what it was wonderful in the World Cup this time, because I saw Mexican getting united by the third game when Mexico beat Czechia. 90% of everybody was on board with the national team, and by when they beat Ecuador, 100%. So you saw from journalists like having a hard time smiling, having a good time when Mexico won. You saw journalists, fans, everybody happy. You saw dogs wearing the Mexican national team on the streets.
The
You
duck,
saw
the duck. Did you see the duck?
you saw yeah, yeah, everybody. I saw the dog. I saw like everybody was happy. The señora selling you tacos was happy. Everybody's in a good mood, and that's the magic of soccer, the magic of football, and also the magic of having a country that it feels soccer, football in a different way. I saw 2 weeks of the World Cup here in LA, and I didn't feel the same thing. I was in other cities, and I didn't feel the same thing. So I learned
But
or to appreciate the culture of soccer in Mexico.
you said that life was good, right? There was a euphoria in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath that veneer, there was something else, and you explored that in some of your writing. One
Mm-hmm.
thing I really liked is that you didn't just talk about the matches, right? And instead, you were focusing on the Madres Buscadores
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico City, in the protests there, along with the teachers, as well as in Guadalajara. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear about that a little bit more if you could delve into it, and starting with Mexico City, and then maybe segueing to Guadalajara.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
may point out, Edward, he one of his first reports was from Mexico City was with the Madre Buscadoras. So he got to talk to a lot of them. He got their side of the story, and it made for a real compelling report. You could look for him on his Mayan Tiger accounts in Instagram and on TikTok. Edward, tell us about that experience with these moms.
Yeah. So, and it goes a little bit of what I was telling you previously. When I got there, I wasn't feeling it. It feels like the World Cup was forced on people. I didn't like everybody had a negative attitude. I think towards skeptical. They were like, kind of skeptical about the World Cup. They didn't. They said that it was the tickets were expensive. A lot of things that uh, made people very skeptical. And I got to see Mexico against Serbia in Toluca, and that's when I met the first families of the people that disappear in Mexico. And of course, I knew the problem going there. I knew that it's a huge problem. It's one of the saddest things in Mexico, the crime and the organized crime and people disappearing. Um, and also I saw the teachers, the union, the teachers union also manifesting there, and there were so many other ones. But the ones that I empathize the most are the ones that are the families, the moms, the brothers, the sisters of all those who disappeared, and there's a lot of them. There's
Just to add
thousands.
some context, Eduard,
Mhm,
thank you so
mhm.
much. But just to add some context, there was over, I think, 100 bodies found
Yeah.
just a mile away from the Estadio Akron in
Yeah,
Guadalajara
Hmm.
yeah,
in the lead up to the World Cup.
Hmm.
1 mile from the Estadio Akron, there was also a torture house where
yeah.
Yeah.
where all kinds of crimes and things I don't really want to delve
Yeah. Yeah.
too much
It,
into. So
it's sad.
basically, 1 mile apart, two worlds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad, but it's in a way, it's the reality, the sad reality that Mexicans live. If you go there right now, it's still the same. The danger is still the same. It's not. It's not because the World Cup was there. It's the World Cup was a showcase, like it was a way to show the world that this is happening, which I totally get. I totally agree if they want to do that. Um, but I also saw as days went by that there was something interesting going on also, um, because I saw like teachers wearing a hood, like um, pasamontañas. How do you say pasamontañas?
a
What's
raincoat.
it? No,
The,
no, the shimmy,
yeah,
the
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
What they
So
what you wear to go ski, like a ski mask,
yeah, the ski mask. Yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
I bet there's I bet there's people who got paid to also have demonstrations there to
So you
cause to cause negative news around
I heard a
the World Cup.
conspiracy in that.
so you could notice some people were agitators.
Yeah,
Paid
yeah,
You
agitators.
perceive
definitely.
it?
Yeah. I definitely saw. Look, I don't have proof, but I wonder if they're really teachers, the ones that were there. Like I said, I really empathize with the families of the disappeared. I saw a lot of them in Puebla. Also, I saw Spain against Peru, and they were outside. I interviewed many of them, and but it's a huge problem. It's not something that is gonna get fixed in a month during the World Cup. And I also saw the ones in Guadalajara. Those couldn't get closer to the Guadalajara stadium because there was more security, and I think people are there. It's a different party there. The governor is from a different party, so they were doing the demonstrations a little bit far away from the stadium. So
Edward.
there's a lot of politics around it, and it's not just the fact that there's families of the disappear there. There's a lot. Like if you turn on the news, if you turn Azteca, for example, they will lead for the most negative news around the World Cup because they are obviously against the government, and you end up being like in the middle of things, like in the middle of many different things because you also see that it's unfair for fans to be outside, to be left out without affordable tickets, which is the organization also they are to blame for that, FIFA, and so it's different. It's there's so many interests, there's so many points of views where that you can see in a World Cup, and that's that's the those are some of the things that you learn as a journalist. I think in those big tournaments that it's like telling you to describe a country is not just one way to describe it. There's many ways to do it, and that's the same thing goes with a tournament like this one.
Edward, now that you mentioned the fans, that not everybody was able, those prices were out of reach for your common people. How could you describe the crowds in El Azteca and in Guadalajara? Who made up these
Okay,
crowds? What type
so
of
I got to
Mexicans?
watch the all the Mexico games, and how many were in Mexico City? Four, right?
Yeah,
Four,
four,
four.
yeah.
Yeah, four, and one in Guadalajara. So the first game was really interesting because I saw um like I told you guys, I saw Brazil, I saw Brazil 2014, Qatar, and then Russia, and I can tell you that first game was way different. The people that attended the stadiums was way different. In in the previous World Cups, you saw a lot of people from the U.S. and you can tell because you kind of see the same people, at the Rose Bowl in the Mexican tours here in the U.S. But in at Azteca, it was a lot of rich people from Mexico, light skin, rich people, families. Like, and when I'm telling you families, these people are rich because some like the tickets, the cheapest ones were $3,000, $4,000, and they have their entire families there. So they're either very influential and got tickets from a corporation, which still makes them very rich, or they bought the tickets, which meant that they spent over 20,000 if they took their families. Um, and I saw and you saw this that people look like the same, like very light skin.
So you're saying it
Yeah.
wasn't a true representation of the
Oh no,
Mexican fan
no,
base,
no! It
but one
wasn't. It
instead that
wasn't.
just reflected the
Hey,
elite of Mexico
and
City.
It
Edward,
was
you
a.
said
It's a
you said
tournament for the
yeah,
elite. Unfortunately,
yeah.
the World Cup it has become a tournament for the elite. But
You said
in
in past
Mexico, it
world.
was it
Yeah.
was like it was very interesting to see it like all of those people together, 80,000 people in a World Cup.
So they've
Edward,
stolen the people's game from
they
us, is
did.
what you're
They
saying.
did. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
they
Albert.
have,
Go ahead.
they
No,
have,
no, go
they
for
have,
it.
they, in many ways they have. We still can watch it at least on TV,
Hmm.
for free, or or we can go to FanFest, but it's getting away from us,
No.
and
E-
yeah.
Edward, you said that in past World Cups, like you would see that your traditional Mexican characters, Chapulín Colorado, La Chilindrina, El
Yeah,
Santo,
not this time.
El Caballero Azteca. Not this
Yeah,
time.
not this time. Yeah, now I
The
you saw in other World Cups,
influencers.
you'll see like 40% of people having fun and with customs, with El Chavo del Ocho, everything, mariachis. You'll see everything.
And it's
But
strange
on this
because
one, it was just fans, rich Mexican fans, which they were soccer fans. They were like they had a lot of knowledge of the sport. I'm not saying that they were not real fans. They were the elite Mexican fans, because I heard their conversations. They were very smart soccer conversations. They follow the Mexican national team, and and also when Mexico played, they had the support, the unconditional support. I can tell you that I never felt something like I felt at Azteca. It's loud. Like once when Mexico plays, and it's close to scoring, that place gets super loud. And so what I'm saying is that, yeah, there's rich people attending the game, but they're still good fans.
Edward, do you think a reason that we saw those euphoric parties at El Angel was because it was the people that were left out? They were expressing themselves like, "Hey, this is our World Cup too."
Um, I don't think it was. They were thinking about sending a message. I think they just were just happy, and I think it was very organic happiness.
Yeah.
Like I told you, Mexican fans get excited for two victories, no matter who they're playing. So when by the time they beat South Korea, they realize, okay, this is fun. And when they beat Czechia, which I think is the biggest win in
Yeah,
this
three
World
zero
Cup by
margin. Yeah,
Mexico, because
yeah,
like Mexico, like it was a Mexican party,
yeah.
that game against Czechia. And
Even though there was nothing on the line, it was a big party.
yeah, it was the best game. It was the best game I've seen of Mexico playing in a World Cup, because when I'm saying that is because they felt Mexico seemed entitled in that game. It seems like it belonged to Mexico, because they even retired Guillermo Ochoa in that game. They not only won, they won good. They had the luxury of retiring a player like Guillermo Ochoa, which that never happens in a World Cup.
No,
Usually in a World Cup, Mexico is struggling for results, and they're thinking about or surviving.
We
But
had
in
never
that,
won 4 matches in a row
no,
in a
no,
World Cup
and
before.
yeah, yeah,
is
and
that big? Do you
that
think
that
that's big though?
that,
That we
that
should celebrate that Mexico won for, even though Mexico ended up in the same place, but they won 4 matches straight. Is that something to hang your?
are you talking as a fan or as a journalist?
But give us both perspective, both
Well, I think
perspectives.
I think as a fan, you have the right to celebrate and do whatever you want as a fan. You don't you're a fan. Yeah, I think you should be very grateful and very happy that you have 4 happy nights during the World Cup. You beat good opponents, especially Ecuador. Um, I think you have all the right to be happy, and to be proud of your team, because you lost to England in a very tough game, which I think if we would have 2 or 3 better players, we would have won, or
We gave
maybe
them a run
more
for their
luck.
money.
Yeah, maybe more luck. But you lost 3-2, and it's like boxing. Fans, like, they don't even mind losing, but as long as you give your all, you punch somebody, you punch your opponent in the face, that your opponent is bleeding, and England was bleeding that night. You
Well,
saw
let's be.
Kane; he could barely talk after the game. So, I think people are proud of it. And just to finish, as a journalist, and just you should be. I think, like we said, they overachieve. You shouldn't be um, blaming the players because they gave it their all. I think Aguirre had everything to give with the players he had. He made some mistakes at the end, and he agrees with that. He said it in the press conference, and but uh, I think more can be done, but it's not gonna be Rafa Marquez. It's not gonna be Piojo Alvarado in 4 years. Is gonna take more. It's gonna take a change in the structure, and you guys know that. And for the change in the structure to take place, it's gonna be hard because the people who control the those decisions are not gonna make any changes.
I think we're at a very interesting time at a crossroads where like reforms are happening. You have Claudia Sheinbaum talking about opening 2,000 schools to find the next Gil Mora, right? And then you have Liga MX implementing the youth rule where a certain amount of jovenazos have to play week in, week out, right? So I feel like reforms are being made to remedy the lack of talent, right? Every league, I mean, every year the league seems to be more intertwined with MLS, and that's to generate money. That money helps us, keep our talent here, acquire good South American players. So I feel like the quality is steadily rising. The focus on the youth, we're starting to see that come into fruition with teams like Chivas, who's heavily focused on their jóvenes and has produced a lot of them. But I wanted to ask you about the Azteca real quick. Is the Azteca really as mythical as people say, or like has it fallen? It is it as mythical as it used to be? This is the place that crowned Pele, Maradona in '86. Does it still have that same vibe?
Um, so this was the first time I was at Azteca. Um, and I couldn't believe it because I've been to Maracana first. I've been to Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow, and I never been to Azteca. And at the beginning, I thought maybe it's just like the fame, it's just like the like people talking about it, the hype. But once you are there and you see it's the building, and when you get it in the building, it's like going to a temple. It's old. It's like when you go to the Coliseum, you here in LA, you kind of feel like there things happen here. And when you go to the Rose Bowl, you feel like okay, you can feel the vibe. um at Azteca, just by their own architecture and everything, I think everything seems louder than it is, and it gets super loud when Mexico is playing, especially in a World Cup because there's a lot of things in play, and there's people who paid $3,000 for a ticket. They're not gonna miss or go get in line for the restroom for 20 minutes. They are there. They want to be there, and they're big games. So it is, to answer your question, it is a very good stadium. If you're I think Mexico is super lucky to be there, to host games, as a country there. And also yeah, it's the temple of soccer. I think if there was a movie where you needed to choose
Love that.
where to play an important game, it has to be the Azteca, and everybody respects the Azteca. Even like the England players, they were afraid when Mexico played Ecuador. They played the national anthems. The Ecuador players seem scared, and
So
you
so what
can.
you're saying is
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So you're saying you can feel the history. And just to follow up, is there any stadium that compares? Would you compare it to the
Yeah, there's
Maracana?
yeah, there's I've been to Maracana. I've seen Brazil play. I was at Maracanã when Brazil beat Spain in the Copa Confederaciones final in 2013. That place also is it's hard. It's hard to play there when there's so many Brazilians, and they're also super proud of their country. Luzhniki Stadium, the one in the national stadium in Moscow. Remember, Russia beat Spain there in
Yeah.
penalty kicks. I don't think that would have happened in another stadium.
They were
That,
accused
that
of doping though that
it's
tournament.
yeah. It's
Well, when aren't the Russians accused of doping? Come on.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hey, but Edward, now that you're
yeah,
talking about,
yeah, yeah.
go for it.
It's intimidating. There's a lot of intimidating stadiums. The one in Toluca, I actually thought it was very intimidating. But
Edward, but let's talk about non-intimidating. In Qatar. You went to like that stadium that was made of containers.
yeah, well, yeah,
It was made of
yeah.
containers, a
That
stadium
one,
in Qatar.
Yeah,
yeah. That
that wasn't
I
intimidating.
like
No.
I like that stadium. Just the fact that it was made out of containers. But I never. I I think if you get the chance to see Mexico play soon at the Azteca, you should take it because first of all, tickets are going to be cheaper, but I think that energy is going to be there, and it's going to go away a little bit, little by little. But I think you should definitely take advantage of it because I think there's a lot of people in Mexico City in Mexico that want to be there rooting for Mexico at Azteca, and that's something that I think Mexico should be like the Mexican national team should get credit for. I think people want to see Mexico now. I think they want to see them at the stadium because they felt like they couldn't see them in the World Cup, and I don't know. It was like they made peace with Mexico. Remember when Aguirre took the team, they played at the Rose Bowl with I don't know how many people. Like it was
40,
even
30?
like
Yeah.
that, like 40,000 people, which felt like
It's a little
very
bit for
empty.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
it
a
was
So
huge
very
Edward,
stadium.
empty. Felt very empty. So
so
and
Edward,
now
no, go for it.
if Mexico plays at the Rose Bowl, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah,
70,000 plus.
So
yeah.
Edward, do you think how long do you think the honeymoon will last between the crowd in Mexico and El Tri? Because everybody's talking about
One
how
tournament,
they made up one tournament,
one
one
tournament.
tournament,
Yeah, one
and
tournament.
then they're
One,
still going to
one.
do the sum games. So it's not like they're
Yeah.
gonna
No, no,
they
no,
have
no.
no they're not they have a contract
They're
to
not gonna
like
go away.
2028.
But you know, one thing that I've heard, it's that corporations or like the motive to make money has stolen some of the aura of the Azteca. For instance, there's $13 taco for one taco al pastor, right? You know, and then they remove seats to make it to put in like luxury boxes a few years back,
Yeah.
taking away some of the intimidation factor that it used to have. It used to be that the fans were right over you,
Yeah,
and they could what's it called? You know, like the presence was more intense, and so that was neutralized for profit.
It's
And
become
yeah,
very Americanized. Would you
yeah.
say it become Americanized?
But it's well it was the World Cup. It wasn't the Liga MX
It wasn't
final.
Cruz Azul
Yeah,
game.
once the World Cup comes, everything changes. Everything, not even the city becomes it's the same city or the country. They just it changes. But I think I think the Azteca at, at for the World Cup or right now is as good as it can get because it's also a very old stadium and 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 if you play a team like England is as good as it gets. You just need to prove to show more on the field rather than
Mm.
on the stands.
Edward, the Mexican football podcast is geared towards the English-speaking Mexican American soccer fan. And in this World Cup, for the first, we had Conejito Brizuela and Ponce in 2014, but they were born here, but they basically grew up in Mexico. They trained in Mexico. But for this World Cup, we had two guys that came from MLS. So you know that Sumani,
Hmm.
those
Yeah,
boleros that are played here. they're starting to contribute to the team with especially with the type of talent that Brian Gutierrez and Obed Vargas are. I don't know if you could describe what you not so much Obed because he already played. What you think of Brian in this World Cup, and what do you think the future of this dual national players is going to be with El Tri?
Um, I personally like Brian Gutierrez a lot in Chivas. I think he's a very wonderful player. I've seen him lately. He's very good. I think in the with Mexico, he still needs more mileage
You think he
playing
was scared? Do you
for
think he
Mexico.
has stage fright?
I think he was intimidated in the first game. I think the entire Mexican team didn't look that great in that first game. Once they scored the first goal, they didn't know like what to do, which you know made me disappointed me a little bit because like you should be one of those teams that if you score two, you want to go for two more, but they score one and then they kind of like they didn't know what to do, and then they scored the second one after the red card. Also, they like they just wanted like to for that game to end, and I think that was like a lack of personality. And but Brian is also very young, so you can understand it. But in a World Cup, you that's not an excuse.
You
So
know,
needs
I
to. Mhm.
in spite of some moments in which he did look nervous, I would consider it a success for him because in that first game, he's the one who draws the red card at the end of it, and
Mhm.
it allows for Mexico to put ice on the game. Before that,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
South
yeah. I
South
think
Africa was growing.
that was. I think he had a decent game. I you know at the end of the day, he's the future also of the Mexican national team. We shouldn't be as hard on him, but he made mistakes. Gilberto Mora made mistakes. Everybody made mistakes. So um, I
Yeah, I
still
would say
think he
Gilberto
needs.
Mora was at fault for the second goal against England.
Yeah,
But back
yeah,
to Brian, he actually won us the red card in that game, and that
yeah,
led to the second goal.
mhm.
So I think his
Yeah.
contribution and Gilberto
It,
Mora's were both positive.
yeah, and you're also a starting player. You have to do some damage. You're there for a reason. You're an attacking player, so
But let's
you
be honest,
if you're
Edward.
there,
But Edward, let's be
if
honest. He didn't have a lot of experience. He only had seven
no,
caps,
no, no.
and
But
then the
yeah,
reason he's
I
in there is
totally,
because there wasn't
I
talent. There wasn't talent.
yeah,
That's why.
and I'm not trying to be harsh on Brian Gutierrez, but you had in the World Cup final, you had a 19-year-old defender who made the best play probably at the end of the game, and then
Yeah,
you
but
have
Cubarsí.
he had a
and then you
process.
have one playing on the attack, 19-year-old, he won the World Cup.
Yeah.
It you consider that he needs more experience and that
Pero como se dice,
he's
Edward, hay
young,
procesos.
but
Kubasi
um,
had a
but
process.
there's other people in the bench, so you kind of have to do things,
Okay,
especially in a World Cup. So
Edward.
Obed Vargas, I I I I, I like the game he played against South Korea. He almost scored a beautiful goal,
Yeah,
the
that
best
was a pretty
goal
good run.
probably
Yeah.
for the Mexican national team. That was a really I like that performance. I think both of them are gonna be in 4 years, hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
and but they still need more mileage in the Mexican national team, or we're gonna see them in the Nations League, in Copa Oro, and there's many other tournaments, the qualifiers.
So
Edward,
speaking about the
so
the Copa Oro, I wanted to segue into the Rafa Marquez era. We're
but
officially in it.
Rifado, I don't
Oh,
want to cut you
go ahead.
off, but when we were so the other part of my question was, what's the future of the Mexican American players with El Tri?
Oh,
Are we gonna see? Are
yeah,
we gonna see a team with seven guys born in the United States
I don't
eventually?
know. I have no idea. But what I can tell you is that what is gonna change everything, and this is what I tell people, uh, that there's gonna be a really good player that is gonna come out from Southern California, from Chicago, from I don't know, one of those areas who's gonna be really good. And I'm telling you, more than Landon Donovan good, more than Cuauhtemoc Blanco good. He's gonna be a huge player, and he's gonna go either to the U.S. or Mexico, and that's the way people are gonna open their eyes in the U.S. and Mexico, and
I
they're
agree.
gonna
I
say
agree.
whoever
I just,
uh-huh,
I just
whoever
want to
loses that
piggyback off that.
player is gonna be very very upset and upset that they couldn't get him, and that's gonna open the door for many many other ones.
I agree. And just to piggyback off that, I think the door has already been opened by the likes of Gutierrez and Obed. And we're going to see, maybe not floodgate, but we're going to see a steady stream of North America, I mean, of Mexican Americans. We're going to be integrated. You know, just look at Chivas. We have Frain Alvarez, we have Guti, and who else?
Seven guys, like
Ledesma.
7 guys, yeah, but like
They're,
7
they're the,
guys.
there's a lot of Mexican Americans who are making their way and making a name for themselves in Liga MX, and I think that's only going to grow. But I wanted to ask you before we segue to Rafa, like I wanted to earlier. Um, do you feel that these people are seen as actual Mexicans by the media and the people of Mexico, in Mexico
Mexican
proper?
media. Um, I
Is it like is it like Andy
um.
Reese? Like Andy Reese, as long as he does good, he's Mexican. But when he doesn't do good, he's not Mexican.
Well, it depends on
Loves.
the player. I think depends on their performance mainly, and and also if many other things like personalities and otherwise. But let's say Alejandro Sendejas. Alejandro Sendejas, I think people don't really see him as in America. They don't see him as gringo. They see him as a really good player,
But
He's
jugó
from
con las
Texas, if I'm
yeah,
correct.
and he played with Chivas. I was there when they
and he's
introduced him
and
back in
he's really good.
2016.
Sendejas is really good. I'm very upset that Mexico couldn't get him,
I
but
agree. I agree.
he's good. He should have started for Mexico in the World Cup, or maybe been like a very good option.
So Edward,
Uh,
you would have started Sendejas over Piojo Alvarado.
no, no,
Piojo
no. I'm
Alvarado
I'm not saying that,
was
but
Mexico's one
could
of
have
the
been a
main
good option.
guys.
When you're trying to score on England, maybe he's one of an option that you can have. But going back to what I was saying, I think as long as they perform, I've gotten to this point, and I'm old school because I'm not that young, so I'm tired personally of seeing people, the Mexican media talking about naturalizados. It's the same topic every time you turn on the TV. Of naturalizados. Should we change the coach? All the same topics. I think at this time, at the moment we're right now, we should be more open minded, and I think as people that we live here in the U.S., we see it from a different perspective. But people from Mexico should be more open to other types of players. You
Well, look at
saw
Quiñones.
who was the best player in Mexico this time?
Quiñones, 4 goles, four
Quiñones.
goals.
Quiñones, and there were like 1,000 shows before the World Cup saying, should we have naturalizados? Is Quiñones, should Quiñones be there? And you saw some reports of Quiñones, all the sacrifices he made to be in the national team, to be
He was a two-way player.
to succeed in Mexico. So he deserves to play for Mexico, and he did it. He was the best player out there. And then you have players like Gutierrez, you have players like Obed Vargas, who have different stories. So I think we're missing a lot of diversity, but like diversity that should matter also on the field in Mexico, and that's the way I think that's why we need more Mexican Americans, but not only Mexican American, even not naturalized players, but system. You have to find a system that is gonna have those Mexican. We need international players, just like MLS, like young international players that can play for the Mexican national team,
Just
or
to add
not
some context to our
not cartuchos
listeners.
quemados.
So just to add context to our listeners about Quinones, he's the first ever Mexican to be included in the ideal 11 for the FIFA World Cup. That's never happened before. Julian Quinones made history, and like you said, well, to some he's an extranjero because he was born in Colombia, but he's been here I think since 17 years old, 18
Yeah, it was
years old.
18 to 17.
Married
Yeah.
a Mexican, won 2 dobletes, one with Atlas, one with Club America, won everything
Yeah.
there was to win in Mexico, Liga MX. And so, he's invited to the carne asada. If you ask me, I think xenophobia sells in in Mexican media, and
Yeah.
so they run with that, and de eso comen, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but that's the state of affairs.
So
But
Edward, oh no,
go ahead.
sorry, Edward. Talking about talent, uh, how important it is for Mexico to have these guys in Europe? Because I know some conversations were, look, Mexico competed with England with Liga MX guys, but I always understand. But this is the way I see it. Those errors that were made was because these players are not exposed to these high pressure situations that you get playing in a Champions League playoff game in the final. So I have always sustained that in order for, and it's not a guarantee because we see with Colombia
Mhm.
has players in top teams, but it's in the step in the right direction, isn't it, Edward?
Yeah, you definitely need people in Europe. That's that's a no-brainer. That's the first thing. That's that's where you have your resources, where you have your players in national teams. Um, but not only you don't need 4 or 5, you need 20, you need 30, you need numbers. And I always also find it very unfair when you hear, oh, Carlos Vela is coming back to MLS. He's es un fracasado. You hear about Chucky Lozano. Oh, he's coming to MLS. He's uh, he's done. Oh, I thought he's a disappointment. I thought he was gonna be better. Giovanni Dos Santos is signing for LA Galaxy. That's I think that's unfair for the player because they can do whatever they want. They don't have the responsibility of representing or being. They can do whatever they want. They have their own families. They have to make financial decisions. But putting all that weight in their shoulders for of the Mexican national team of a
It's
country
unfair.
in that when they make that decision, I think it's very unfair. So the what you should blame is the system of not having players, many players in Europe, and that's where I think the U.S. is winning because they have they're planting a lot of seeds in Europe, and that's why you have really good players.
But let's look at the results, Edward. They have more players than us, but did they have a more successful World Cup than us?
I think they did it in this case because they have other issues also. They're different issues than Mexico, but I think if you see the teams before they play the World Cup, you can tell that they have better players. They have
But
they play in better teams, uh, but like I said, they have other issues. Ecuador has better players than Mexico. Colombia has better
there's a
players
hundred
than
million
Mexico.
dollars in difference
Yeah,
between our
yeah,
squads.
yeah. But and it goes a little bit of what I was saying in the past, in the previous questions. Um, does a game really measure your real capability as a soccer team, as a soccer nation? Maybe you're just lucky in one game. Maybe you're just lucky in one tournament when you have the right brackets. But can you be that consistent in many World Cups? Uh, uh, so what? Just going back to your question, I think you definitely need players in Europe, no
So I
matter
just want to push back
no matter what
just a
World
little bit. I want to push back a little bit. So this is our most successful World Cup, and then the '86 one, also one of our most successful World Cup. Both those squads domestic based. You
Cup.
go you go back a little further in history to Brazil, their era of dominance. They were
But
all domestic players,
but
and I know
Rifado, but
I know you're
Rifado,
going back in.
Rifado,
I
Rifado,
know I'm going
but
back in time. You know, I'm just saying
no,
there's
no, no. I don't.
I
Agree
don't
to
agree with the
disagree.
idea that we have to export our talent to be successful. I would like us to return to tournaments like Libertadores and maybe Copa America, but I don't think it's a prerequisite of
But
success
but
at the world
Rifado,
stage for
Rifado,
us to
Rifado.
have
Let's be
players in Europe.
Rifado. Let's be real. That England game, if that red card was heaven sent from Mexico. Had England been at full strength, Mexico probably eats three more goals. That
We'll never know. We'll never know.
you know what you
or if the
we
or if that game was in a neutral
yeah.
a neutral
If
site,
it was a
you know,
SoFi, or if it was a New York, yeah.
How does the saying go?
or
If my grandma had wheels, she'd be a
But
bike.
still, I don't know. I'm not as
yeah,
optimistic as you, Rifado.
You
yeah.
know, I have to say, like,
Yeah, or
I
maybe Rifado can be a combination of things. You know, it can
yeah,
be a strong domestic league and also having a lot of players in Europe. You know, there's you can have both, or you can have nacionalizados also. But in order to have that, you have to have some type of plan, and that's what we don't have. We don't have a lot of plans, or when we do, we just as soon as we lose in Liga de Naciones, Nations League, we throw everything out the door.
oh, all right. Well, I just want to thank you, Edward. I think we're running out of time, but I really do appreciate you coming on and joining us for the show. And I want to remind the listeners to subscribe, leave a review to the Mexican Football Pod, and also where can people follow you?
Oh, you can follow me on Mayan Tiger. I'm on TikTok, Mayan Tiger Sports. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook, on YouTube. I'm all over the place. So Mayan Tiger.
Mayan Tiger. All right, I appreciate that. And yeah, what's it called? Thank you so much again. I loved your articles, and I hope to have you in the future. Misabio, is there anything else you want to say to our esteemed guest? You're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Like I told you, like one of the objective of this podcast was to have these conversations with people in the field, with people in the business, and last time we had Melissa from SB Nation, and today we had the honor of having Edward. And like I told you, these type of conversations are very meaningful, especially in the within the Lega within the Liga MX Mexico national team and English community. So again, thank you, Edward, for joining us. It was a great time. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
one last thing, Edward. Sorry, I made a note to ask about you
Mhm.
being a lecturer, a teacher at Cal State Northridge in Los Angeles, and you teach journalism, right? And
Mhm.
so I just wanted to ask you just a quick question. What's one of the biggest lessons you try to pass on to your students?
The biggest lessons, there's many. I think one of the biggest ones is that once you have your core journalism values, it it, it can change. The media can change a lot. It can be you know before used to be newspapers, then the internet came, but those core values stay there. Those don't change. It just media changes a lot. What we have, what we had in 20 years, it's not what we have right now, and in 20 more years, it's not going to be the same. But what stays the same is your ethics, but also your storytelling skills, your talent also, and your writing, but also you have to be open to changes. You have to change your writing style. Sometimes you have to change the way you communicate whatever story you're trying to communicate. So you have to be open minded to changes in the business, and but as long as you have a strong foundation, uh, I think that it's not gonna affect your success in the media, because the media changes a lot. But as long as you have your fundamentals and your a good foundation, you're gonna be you should be good.
Wonderful to hear. Profound and
Mhm.
inspiring stuff.
Yeah,
Edward,
yeah.
thank you so
He's
much
one
for
of the
coming
best.
on.
He's one of the best. That's why he's my friend.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And with that, we'll be right back. Thank you so much. And we're back. We're going to go ahead and cover Apertura match week 2. We're going to go ahead and get started with Cruz Azul and their 2-1 victory over Puebla. Luca Romero opened up the scoring in the 44th minute, followed by the Nigerian striker Iberi in the 82nd. Puebla only managed one at the hands or at the feet of Fernando Monarez. And so the Chemos, the Chemo train keeps on trucking. They're doing well. I'm especially excited for Luca Romero. He scored the first goal of the match, and
Is
he's
he
a right
national team
winger.
material? You think so? He's national team material?
He's still
Should we go
eligible to
down
play for
that?
us.
Should we go? But should Rafa go down that road? Rafa Marquez.
Yeah, if he keeps it up, he's playing for the champions of Mexico. If he can win the starting spot, if he has a successful tournament, we need to try and cap this guy. We are not in a position to leave a stone unturned like Luca Romero, and maybe he wasn't good enough to go to this past World Cup, but this one here, this next one, I think he might, and we won't know unless we call him up and find out. But to move on, let's go ahead and go to the second match of the second match week, and that was Toluca and their 1-2 defeat to Pumas. So it was Toluca at home, and they lost 2-1 to the Pumas. And I
Mm.
was very surprised in this because Toluca beat Chivas in the first match
Yeah.
week, and Pumas was not looking like their old self. They have a new coach. They lost their first match, and here they came and they weren't messing around. They beat a very serious team in Toluca, and Victor Arteaga, who I believe played for Toluca, he was let go, and Turco Mohamed didn't really rate him. Paiva, the Portuguese coach who was in charge of Toluca prior to Turco Mohamed, did rate him, was playing him a lot. He was basically shipped off to the reserves when Turco came in, and now he's at Pumas. He scores the first, and then Sebastian Cordova scored in the 63rd for Pumas to beat his old team in Toluca. So La Ley del Ex was in full effect for this one. It was a great match. I'm looking forward to many more, and we have a bunch of matches for match week 2 that we still have to go over. We have Club Tijuana versus León tomorrow at 8 p.m. It should be a good one. Club Tijuana, Cholos is getting better and better.
Hey,
With
Abreu's cooking something in the border, isn't he?
he is. He is. And, Mora, this is probably his last 6 months there. They got a few other Jovenazos that we went over in the last pod. I'm excited. I'm going to check it out tomorrow, 8 p.m. After that, same time, not after that, but at the same time tomorrow is Atlante versus Club America. Now, both these teams are based in Mexico City. They have a very storied history in Mexico City, and they both share the Estadio Azteca, or otherwise known as Estadio Norte now. Uh, I think we all think that America is going to win it. They have the better squad, better coach, and but who knows? Piojo Herrera, who's the coach for Atlante, ex coach for Club America, ex Mexico coach, and ex Liga MX player. He could surprise us. We'll see. I think a lot of people are excited for this match tomorrow. Any thoughts on that, Albert Misabio?
It's gonna it's just for the Piojo factor and being Estadio Azteca where Piojo had those very euphoric celebrations. So I think just for a Piojo factor, it's a must watch game. But I think Atlanta is gonna be bottom of the barrel the rest of the tournament. But America should you know what? The thing is, I know there's a lot of doom and gloom with America. Americanistas are saying, "Oh, it's going to be bad," but we're going to go into this next week about the team's financial. Is that as bad as everybody thinks? And we talked about our last episode. It's been a while since America has been operating with smart money and not big money. So this is nothing new, and Almada is like one hell of a coach. He's very dynamic. So I think our Americanista friends they shouldn't be too pessimistic this season.
I agree. I agree. But who knows? Maybe this is the start of the Piojo redemption arc with Atlante. We'll see. So that's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Tune in.
Hey, well, we see
Go
that.
ahead.
What do the cool kids call it? The kids call it the Super Zion celebration where he
Oh, the Super
they
Saiyan.
super.
Yeah, yeah. He was channeling his inner Goku,
Are
which
we gonna see that type of euphoria? You think?
I hope so, man. I hope so. And it's the rainy season right now, right? So
Yeah,
if there's
yeah.
any time for it to happen again, it's tomorrow at 8 p.m. On Saturday at 4:07 p.m. Weird start time.
yeah.
Guadalajara faces Juarez at home. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some people are making it out. Juarez has been decent these last few years. Albert, you're muted. Uh, but yeah, Guadalajara.
Isn't it a slump buster?
I think people are billing it as such, but Juarez is not easy meat for the likes of Chivas. But I do have faith in Milito. What are your thoughts?
I you know what? Just the fact that Toluca lost to Pumas, I think that first week was a I don't want to call it a fluke, but I think it was just an it was just a hiccup. I think Milito and the gang, especially Guti. Hopefully, Guti finally gets out of his slump and picks it up. I think they come up with the W and they go on another streak like last season.
I agree. I agree. I do think it was a bit of an anomaly, but I think we also have to look at history. Toluca has been a boogeyman of sorts for Chivas historically. Who knows? Maybe that was hanging over their heads mentally. But I do think they'll get a point. I mean, they'll get the win. I mean, the 3 points against Juarez. I'm looking forward to it. At 8 p.m., we have Tigres versus San Luis. Pizarro. I believe he lost his first match.
Hey, Correa's gone. Correa's gone. I think.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
River
yeah,
Plate.
yeah, yeah.
And what's it called? They did lose against Tijuana in their
Mhm.
first match of this Apertura. So I think Pizarro needs a win. He's been making deep runs in the Liguilla, but he hasn't found the glory that Tigres craves, that their squad needs, that the money they spend demands. And so,
Definitely not the Ferretti years, and not even the Ciboldi years.
this could be the start of the great collapse of Pizarro.
Uh-huh.
So watch out for that. It should be an interesting match, Tigres versus San Luis. If there's someone for them to recoup against, it's San Luis, but who knows? This team no convence. But on to the next one. Who do we have?
Santos Atlas.
Yes, sir. We have Santos Atlas. I'm not too interested in this one. Both these teams, they used to have the same owner, no longer. The quality is just not there right now. But for our Santos and Atlas fans, don't get mad at us. Uh,
And I don't think it's good. I know Atlas hired Hernan Crespo, which
oh
it's
yeah,
just
that's an interesting hire.
But it's just
He's a legend.
but yeah, he's a legend on the field. But it's just like a random hire. Why not hire a young Mexican coach? Like this is exactly like when Pachuca got Palermo. Like why bring Palermo? Yeah, he had a legendary status with Boca and what have you. But it's like what's his resume? Like why not just give a Mexican coach a chance? Like you're just getting the name. It's like what has he proven? And this is frustrating considering there's not a lot of Mexican coaches, and when you get these type of moves, it's like it just continues to show there's no faith in the national coach.
Well, what it tells me is that you need someone with a strong presence of mind, someone with a cult of personality. You have old heads like Vargas, the goalkeeper, who is the Colombian goalkeeper during this World Cup. So you have old heads, you have people of pedigree at Atlas. Maybe you need someone to motivate them, and Crespo's the man. He's an AC Milan legend, Argentina legend.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He
Hell of a
had a
guy,
fantastic player.
hell of a player. But
Where he is,
as a coach,
it's
I
to be
don't
seen.
know. I don't
It's
know as
to
a
be
coach.
seen.
I don't know. I mean,
But
Palermo did everything with Boca, but as a coach, Pachuca found out that he wasn't that good.
tune in Saturday, 8 p.m. And then, of course, we have Necaxa versus Monterrey. People are excited with Rayados de Monterrey for the first time in maybe a long time. No, I don't think. I think every year they're hopeful because they always have such great signings. And
Rifado, Rifado,
uh-huh.
I want to confess something. I know
Hmm.
at first I was like, nah, and I was playing it off. But it hurts me to see Matias with other pinstripes, with blue pinstripes instead of red pinstripes. It just hurts me to see him, and especially since he won his first game, and it looks like they're gonna get something going there. I don't know. I still remember the good old days, 10 years ago with Matias saying he believed in Mexicanos and giving us a couple titles. It hurts me. It hurts me.
So they have all the ingredients, all the tools to be successful. They have money, they have a great stadium, they have a bustling city in a bustling state in Nuevo León. It
Yeah,
makes a lot per they have money to spend,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
They have a coach who's been successful abroad as well as domestically in Almeida. They have a
And
lot
they
to go for themselves.
one
Go
of
on.
their refuerzos is Orbelin Pineda, an old
Oh yeah.
friend of Matias. So
Yeah, and so they repatriated our Orbelin Pineda from Greece, and I think that's great because no one's watching the Greek league. It's kind of a pedestrian place to be in Europe. Uh, let's bring him home. I have a soft spot for Orbelin. He's from Tierra Caliente, Guerrero. I'm from Tecuantepec, Guerrero. So
oh wow.
where he's my paisano. So I have a I do have a soft spot for him, but I'm unconvinced with this Monterrey. Is what I was trying to say. They narrowly beat Santos Laguna, uh,
Hey,
a bad team, a bad
hey,
team. They beat them
it
3-2.
it
They
hurts me
have
to
no
say,
business almost tying these
but
teams.
it hurts me to
They should be
say.
blowing them out. Go
It
ahead.
hurts me to say. It hurts me to say. But I think Matias is gonna get him cooking. I think Monterrey is gonna be a top three team. Mark
It's
it
a
down.
possibility.
Mark it down.
It's a possibility, but they'll have to get through Necaxa in Aguascalientes. So this is their first away match. We'll see how they do. Like I said, they narrowly beat Santos Laguna 3-2. That's a team you should be beating 4-0, 3-0. But and with that, let's go. What's our last one? Our last match. Do you know, Albert?
Yeah, it's Pachuca versus Querétaro. Pachuca got off to a good start under. He's not a young coach anymore. He's already late 40s, but he's a well traveled. He's been grinding. We're talking about Benjamin Mora, and this is another shot he's getting in Liga MX. He had Atlas, and I don't remember who else, but he hasn't been able to establish himself. But I hope this is it for him with Pachuca because Mexico needs these Mexican coaches, and he's shown good things. Like he has a good philosophy, and like I said, he's been everywhere. I think he coached in Vietnam and China, and he's
You
been
know, he
everywhere. He's been on the grind.
he started the Apertura the right way, destroying Pumas 3-0 convincingly. La ley del ex again,
Yeah,
because the Pumas coach right now, the little Solari, used to coach Pachuca,
yeah, yeah.
and so they face each other, and they're thoroughly dismantled. So I think they're going to do short work of Querétaro. Watch out for this Pachuca side. They started off the right way, like I said.
Hey,
So we're in for a good match week. We've already
hey,
had two. There's a
I'm
there's a
not.
few more to go.
I'm not a Pachuca fan, but I'm pulling for Mora. I really hope this is his breakthrough year.
I agree. And yes, we do need more Mexican coaches, and we hardly have any in this league. This is a
Yeah,
league of extranjeros as far as coaches are concerned.
I think
Argentines have taken over.
I think San Luis and San. I know San Luis and Puebla have Mexican coaches. If I'm not mistaken, but it's like it's real rare. And obviously, but you know what? We forgot to mention Wiki Dios, man. That
Oh
guy,
yeah, the current champ.
I
Current
think
champ.
he's
I think
proven his mettle.
he has yet to lose
Yeah,
as the head coach of Cruz Azul.
yeah.
So shout out to our Mexican coach who's tearing it up. But let's go ahead and segue to our next area of interest. Why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Well, in the last couple of days, Memo Ochoa made it official. It was already known that after the World Cup, that was it for him, and he made it official. And after a more than 20-year career, Memo Ochoa se retira de las canchas. The World Cup was his swan song, and now there's a debate whether he's Mexico's greatest goalie. I think World Cup wise, I think he is, because obviously Mexico's ceiling has been cuartos de final, and but since '94 it's been a lot of the round of octavos, the round of 16. And you know what? I think I mean, who can forget his performance against Brazil in 2014? That guy, was like he had a bullet. He had like a bulletproof vest that was just, the balls were just ricocheting
A
off him.
shutout
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
Brazil against
yeah, yeah.
Brazil was
Those
no easy feat.
Mexico's most he produced Mexico's most iconic. I think Tala's save against Korea got up there, but it's still those saves he made. Those one-handed saves against Brazil is just like they've really held up. And then he looked good against Germany in 2018. He had a good tournament there. And then in Qatar, I think he was good. He at least he avoided a Mexico loss against Poland. Stopping a penalty kick
Lewandowski.
from Lewandowski. I mean, that's something, no? That's something.
That's not easy, man.
And
He's
I don't think
arguably one of the
nobody.
best strikers in the world, especially during that era.
And
So
I don't think, yeah, yeah.
amazing resume.
World Cup wise, I don't think any Campos definitely didn't have those moments in '94 and in '98. I mean, he was okay, but those type of moments, I mean, but to just reiterate, World Cup wise, he's the best overall.
I agree.
I yeah, he went to Europe, and but he played in mid to low level teams. I mean, yes, no other goalie had done it, but I don't know how much credit you want to give into that. And as far as the best, I don't know. A lot of people like to say Campos because I don't know, some ranking in '96 or '95 had him as at the third best goalie in the world. But honestly, I was never a fan of Campos. I didn't like his flashy style. I didn't like his uniform. I think it was just his uniform that made it that made him shine. At that time, I was Adolfo Rios fan. But I think if you gotta go like the Mexican goal, you gotta go Corona. I mean, he won the same amount of Liga MX titles as Memo, but it's just, Corona has
I
Corona has
disagree,
the
man. Come on,
but hold
man.
on, hold on. Corona has the gold medal, man. And you know what? I don't even rate the
Oh, okay, yeah.
Confederación. I don't rate the Confederaciones no more because Campos won a Confederation. That's not no longer around. So Mexico, in my opinion, Mexico's top achievement is the the gold medal in London 2012. And that was all Corona, man. Corona's phenomenal. Who can forget when he also club-wise? Who can forget when he stepped in for Osvaldo, when he crossed over, what was it, from Atlas or from Tecos to play with Chivas, and that guy was like, it was his I think his uncle Coco Rodriguez had played for Chivas, so it was like it was sort of a lifelong dream for him to honor the family legacy, even though I think he came from Atlas. So who could forget that? And his heroics with Cruz Azul, and to me, honestly, that guy should have been the starter in 2014. And to me, the Mexican goal is Corona. And then, in this conversation, like you talk Osvaldo, you talk Ochoa, but you forget some of the legends in Mexico's goal, like Tota Carvajal, Nacho Calderon. Even I know some people like my friend from Mexico. He says, "Oh, Pablo Larios it wasn't that great," but I see some of his stuff. That guy was like elastic, man. That guy made some good saves. So to me, Memo World Cup wise, yeah, but number one
I
overall.
think I think longevity. He's clear over
You
everyone.
think so?
Like we have to take into context that he debuted at 18 for Club
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
America in
yeah.
2004. He's
And he was the
retiring.
starter for that 2005 title. I remember he beat out the Argentine Saja, and then he just became he became a staple for Club America. But you know what? I
Mhm.
think honestly, I think one thing that really hurt him is that the clenbuterol contamination in the 2000
People
prior
don't
to the
even remember that,
2011.
bro.
But no, I don't say that it tainted his career because obviously it was 11 guys that were contaminated and everybody was getting contaminated at that time. But I think it hurt his legacy because they were talking about a big club move for him, and then it all went away because of that mishap, which wasn't his fault. And so I think there's that asterisk with him that maybe he could have, maybe he would have gotten a PSG or I don't know, like a Bayern, like a bigger club than the ones he played with. And one thing I do find unfair is when they call him, oh, he's the goalie that's permitted most goals in the French league and this and that. But look at the teams he's played for with no defense. So it's not mostly on him. So I think
So
that is unfair.
So, Ochoa has had great games against the likes of Cavani, Ibrahimovic, Maura, Pastore, Mota.
Ronaldo.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm talking about his time for Ajaccio,
Oh,
where
okay,
he
okay,
had a
yeah,
shutout
definitely,
against
yeah,
PSG,
okay,
right? So,
yeah, definitely.
even though he doesn't have titles, he's got a 22 storied career with just great moments like this one, where he's up against the best strikers in the world and he's getting the best of them. And
So
then
Rifado.
well, hold on, you
No,
were
no,
disrespecting
dale.
my boy Jorge Campos, another
No, no,
another paisano from
hey,
Guerrero. Okay, this guy won the Confederations
hey, if it
Cup
wasn't for those
in goal.
colorful
Hold on,
uniforms,
hold on. He won a final against an A team Brazil with Ronaldinho, with Zé Roberto. Who else played? The Beto, Alex. One of the best what's it
he
called,
was also short.
Brazils of the
I'm not
90s.
I'm not a fan of short goalies. If he was 3 inches taller, he stops that Stoikov strike in '94. But I wasn't I just wasn't rough. I thought he was a much better forward than he was goalie. But let me
I
flip
don't
it
think
out.
I
Let
don't
me
think
flip
you
it
win
around.
a final against Brazil of the
I don't
90s
want to go into that.
by accident.
I could go into that. I
But
could go
but
into
but
that. It
but
wasn't
back to
Brazil's
Ochoa,
main
he
squad.
clears everyone. He clears everyone.
So
I
you
I
have
I
him as your
know.
number one overall World Cup and overall.
Overall, Ochoa number one, tied for number two, Corona and Campos together, because one of them's got a confederation, the other one's got a gold medal
How about World
for
Cup wise?
Mexico.
World Cup wise,
Oh, it's
you said
Ochoa, clear,
Ochoa? Okay,
clearly.
okay, cool.
But
All right.
yeah, storied career, 22 years long. What what a journey, what a journey,
And
and I'm sad to see him go, but it was his
It's
time.
he was one of the last. Obviously, there's guys like Morita that are going to be coming up, but I think he was one of the last Mexican guys with name value that people would go to the stadium to go see. That you knew that a quien vienes a ver, quien juega. People knew it was Memo Ochoa. We were there at the road. You were on the sidelines. How did the people react when he came in the second half and
They
that
came
friendly against
alive, man.
Australia?
But he's ascended just a footballer. He is a pop culture
Yeah, yeah,
icon now. That
yeah.
that's where he's at. So
Well,
he's more than just a footballer.
remember, he dated a RBD singer, so the guy was always involved with pop culture.
He was in novelas. He might return
Yeah,
to one afterwards. Who knows? He's
yeah.
such a media darling. He knows how to work a media room like nobody's business. I would be surprised to see him not end up as a commentator, as something like that. Something in media, because he is a media darling. He's a product of Televisa. He's been in novelas. He,
Rifado.
he he needs to be behind the camera. Oh, he
As a
needs to be in front of
hardcore,
the camera.
as a hardcore Chivas fan, you do know that he grew up in Guadalajara. Do you wish he would have played for Chivas?
No, I don't. But I do respect him.
I don't think his locks would have fit in with the Chiva culture.
Who knows, man? But things turned out the way they did, and I don't have any regrets, and I don't think Ochoa does either. But with that, why don't we go ahead and segue to our Jovenazos rundown?
Let me introduce you. Let me introduce you.
Go ahead, my friend.
This has to be probably the most important segment in the Liga MX and English community. Is where we highlight the next superstars. So there's no other guy in the Liga MX and English community that has his post on tomorrow's talent than Rifado. Rifado, take it away.
Thank you so much. So for Jornada 1, we had 12% of the 378 players available to play. were 23 years and younger. So that's 47 of 378, or 12%. I just want to do a quick rundown of who caught my eye. And so we had a 16-year-old play for, who was it? Querétaro, and in their 1-0 loss to America. And so a 16-year-old, and he's got a funny name. His name is Mono Martinez. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it
What kind of
I'm
name?
pretty sure that's a nickname. But anywhere you look him up, Mono
Hey,
Martinez, 16-year-old debutant.
that
Keep an
name's
eye on
gonna.
him.
You think that name's gonna cost a couple red cards?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Uh, maybe if he goes to Europe, in Mexico,
or,
they
Argentina en
yeah.
Libertadores.
Yeah, and then of course we got to give Isaias Violante, 22-year-old. He was the only goal scorer of the night for Club America. This kid came out of the Toluca Cantera, and he under Paiva, the previous coach prior to Turco Mohamed. Turco didn't really rate him. He gets shipped off to Club America. He hasn't really caught fire the way some people were hoping, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
started this season, this tournament, the right way. So keep an eye on Violante. He's a
Do you
quick.
think? Do you think he plays his way into Rafa's new crop of players? I mean, he's only 22, but it seems we've been talking about him forever.
It's been a while. You know what? I do think so, because his intangibles are something that we lack in the attack. He's a fast guy. He's a Moro Prieto. I'm looking forward to seeing him develop. I think you'd be a fool. I think you'd be a fool not to keep an eye on him, is what I'm trying to say. And then of course Toluca versus Chivas. The guy who caught my eye was Eduardo Lopez. He was able to keep the clean sheet against El Rebaño. He's only 21 years old, narrowly missed out on this World Cup. Keep an eye on this guy. I think this guy and Vasquez together pueden hacer daño. Pueden hacer daño. And so watch out for those guys. And let's see. Who else we got? Who else caught my eye? So
Did you talk last week about that Querétaro kid from LA Galaxy 17, and they're calling him the next Gilberto Mora?
no, I haven't heard of him. What's his name?
I think it's let me see. I had it right here. Let me see.
But just to move on a little bit while you look that up, Pumas versus Pachuca, right? We're talking about dismantling that. I already mentioned Arteaga. He's a great player for Pumas. And then who else shined for Pachuca? Montiel. He got a goal. He's a 20-year-old kid. We've been talking about him for a while. He's great. He started off the tournament strong with a goal against Pumas. And then another guy who caught my attention, Alexi Dominguez. He's still quick. He's still crazy quick. So keep an eye on that guy. Let's see who else we got. Denzel for Juarez. This kid, right back, center midfielder, interesting prospect. 22 years old. He was rumored to be heading over to Chivas. I don't know if that move's gonna materialize, but he's got to go somewhere. This kid needs to be playing for a better team than Juarez. Denzel, keep an eye on him. What an interesting name. And then let's see who else caught my eye.
Oh, I
So
got the
for
player's name. It's his name is Juan Carlos Martinez. He came out of LA Galaxy's youth academy. He's only 16, and that guy was tearing it up with Mexico in the youth teams. So, and like, a lot of people have been. I don't know if he has debuted yet, but he's part of the squad for the Apertura 2026, and a lot of people are comparing him with Gil Mora, which is it raises
good news.
it's it puts attention on him, and hopefully like I said, I've always Mexico lacks talented players, and the more they get, the better chances Mexico has of finally reaching that next level.
I agree. I agree. Can I get his name one more time and the listeners as well?
It was Juan Carlos Martinez. He came from the Galaxy 2, I believe, or Galaxy's youth team. I'm not too sure.
Okay, cool, cool. Another guy. So from Atlas that really impressed me, and that's Victor Rios, 23, 22 years old. This guy is 6'3", can play as a center midfielder, as a center back, and even a left midfielder. This guy can play multiple positions for Atlas. I know Atlas is not doing too great, but this guy, he's got an intangible that Mexicans don't often have, and that's being tall. It's being tall and good on the ball. That's something that we don't see very often. Keep an eye on this guy. I've been touting him for a while. 22-year-old Victor Rios for Atlas. Interesting guy. San Luis has got a kid named Najera. So this guy was loaned out to Atletico Madrid, to their to their B team, their youth team, and it didn't work out for him. They sent him back to San Luis. Before the loan, he was good. He was good about a year ago. Let's see if he can catch that form again. Very interesting player. But with that, let's see who else caught my eye. Of course, we've already mentioned Padilla, 20-year-old Yael Padilla, who was at Chivas, but now is at Cholos de Tijuana, and he got the assist for Arciga, who got the first goal. 21-year-old. There's another kid named Aldihar, who's 21 years old. Another guy to look out for. And then Chicha, 21-year-old winger, little guy, man. I saw this guy live, dude, and I thought it was a child. I thought a child had wandered on the field when Chicha Sanchez played a while back. But he seems to be a permanent fixture for Tigres. Look out for this guy. He's only 21 years old, short, speedy winger, tenacity. That's how I would describe Chicha Sanchez. He's a very tenacious young player, and I think the future is very bright for him. But yeah, like I said, 12%, 47 of the total 378 players were 23 and younger. So 12%, not a great number, but not a bad number. We'll see if that grows as the Apertura unfolds. And with that, I think that's it for our show. Mi Sabio, what
What
do
a
you have for
show!
us? What
What
a
a
show.
show! What a show! Like I told you, like one of the purpose when we set out to do this podcast, but when Rifado told me, let's take a walk, let's take a walk, let's do this. This is what this conversation that we had with Edward Cauich of the LA Times was what we had envisioned. We wanted meaningful conversations, and I
I
think
agree.
like we did it last week with Melissa from SB Nation, who brought her Liga MX and Liga MX feminine expertise, and we continue with Edward, and we have more of these guests lined up. So stay tuned and go on this ride with us, and you won't regret it. You won't regret it.
Heck yeah, Mi Sabio. I appreciate you. You're the
Vamos,
greatest
let's go.
co-host a man could ask for.
Hey, and
I
you're the
just want to
greatest
remind.
host. You're the
Thank you,
greatest
sir.
host. Hey, there's some out there that they think they're good, but you're the cream of the crop.
I appreciate you, Mi Sabio. Know you. But I just want to remind the listeners to subscribe, leave a review. We're on YouTube. We are on Spotify. We are on X or Twitter. So just look us up. We are the Mexican Football Podcast. Football spelled Futbol, the Spanish spelling. And yeah, you can find us there. Look us up, subscribe, like, leave a
Oh,
comment.
and you can find me personally at one Albert Perez on X, Twitter, whatever you call it, and you can use me to connect with the show. You can use me to say whatever you want to me, but you could find me there, and you could find me my videos on TikTok. My Brian Gutierrez. Brian Gutierrez video where in the Mexico media they were asked him like what where I asked him about what made him switch from the U.S. to Mexico, and he said it was Chivas. That video, we're almost at 1 million. Help me get over the hump. Let's go.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Sabio
and you can
Sports on
find
TikTok.
yeah,
And and
Sabio.
then also Rifado, plug
Yeah,
yourself.
the Mexican football podcast is
Our
also
stuff.
on TikTok. So just look us up there, and you can find Misabio there. And
Yeah.
so we hope to see you. Appreciate you all for listening. And there's many more to come, many more guests to come, and we've got a lot of things in store for you all. We're gonna do like a Club America focused episode.
Yeah.
I think next,
Yeah,
if
and
not the one after that.
and we're trying to get into the Leagues Cup so we could talk to some of the Mexican Americans in Chivas. So
Oh yeah,
hopefully that all comes through. Yeah.
we get approved for the Leagues
Yeah.
Cup, and maybe
Yeah.
we can do a live episode with some of the
Yeah.
journalists there.
Yeah.
Provide some short videos of the
Yeah.
interviews that we have with some of the
Yeah.
players. Hopefully,
Reunite with
so
Guti. Reunite
yeah,
with Guti. Yeah.
I would love to ask more English questions to
Yeah,
the Chivas
definitely.
players. I think we'd be surprised how many of them know English.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
more than just
like
the.
seven of these guys were born and raised in the United States, and you know what? Just look at the views. The ones you shared, the ones I shared, like they're these videos perform better than the Spanish speaking ones.
I agree. I agree. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is El Rifado with El Sabio, Albert Perez. And thank you so much and have a great evening, everyone. Bye bye.
Ciao.